things I wanted to also to say in looking at these different stories, it's not that they're comparable, but they are something that we all can relate to, and it educates us, and it shows how we do share the fact that there's so much we still don't know. And I'm just so curious to hear how that's kind of mulling around in your own minds.
I already know I'm going to be like thinking about it for the next few days, and just like why there's like so much, I guess you could say there's like so much prejudice for no reason.
And actually, it was something I just found out probably less than a year ago. And I never heard of this story at all. So as long as I've gone to school and college, this story has never come up. But yet it's a true story. So it's a concealed story.
Why is there so much hate towards people that haven't like done anything to you? Like why? Like why do you hate like people for no reason, basically? You know, and one thing that was really interesting to me was like the big bad wolf, and how it's like how that was a Jew, and then how they had to change it after World War. So that was really interesting to me. So at least I saw like they did make a change. They at least like made a teeny effort to make that maybe could have like a bigger ripple.
There were things that I learned. I did not know the history behind Over the Rainbow. I greatly appreciate the creativity that opened up from in the Jewish community as a way just to cope with things, but also that there's a story behind everything. You know, everything you have to look at. If somebody tells you something, you have to look at it. I've heard some people say, well, you know, George Floyd, he shouldn't have been paying with the $20 anyway. But it's like, you know, you have to question them and say, well, what if you had received a $20 counterfeit bill when you got it from the grocery store? So your life is only worth $20?
The biggest takeaway is just probably the injustice. I mean, I already know it's horrible and it needs to be fixed now, but then even just reviewing it and going over it, like, yeah, his life was taken by a $20 bill. Like, that could have happened to anyone and stuff. And I'm sure the reactions would have been different if it had been someone from a different background, someone with different beliefs, blah, 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 or just a different police officer. It honestly it was just horrible it happened. I'm just still processing it. I feel like even it happened, like, I don't know, like around a year ago, and I'm still like, just like, oh my God, you know?
Yeah.
I had a lot of takeaways, but I guess the fact to be more open to the concealed story, that behind every story, there's something else underlying, and to be open to it. And it's sort of exciting to figure out what that is, instead of even when we're listening to the news, they're telling you one thing, but we should be looking at all sides before we make up our mind.
Now that I think about it, this call is actually the reason that I remembered the name of the book. I've been trying to think of it forever, and I finally remembered it. So thank you to this call. My 5th grade teacher had the class read this. It's called Number the Stars. Seeing things from other people's perspectives is very important, and something that you might be blindsided by, because if you yourself haven't been in an experience that somebody else has been in, you would have no idea about this kind of stuff. You wouldn't know how to react. You wouldn't know what to do in that situation. And you don't know how to tell the person like how you understand what happened, because you really don't. You haven't been in any situation like that to be able to know what happened.
I think the concealed stories, actually, that's something that has hit me, you know, a lot with Black Wall Street, even with Bruce's Beach. I mean, you know, I used to ride my bike up and down that strand and go by that park for years, rode with a bunch of people. Had no idea one day they had the ceremony, the actual ceremony for Bruce's Beach. And I had no idea. And I stopped my bike and I go, what's going on here? I see all these Black people in the park. I guess the one thing I can tell everybody is that you never know where you're at, what you're doing, what you walked by. It could be something that is connected to your heritage, your culture, and you're never going to know it. But when you do know it, and this is why we're doing all this kind of stuff, is that you can share these stories with other people and understand what went behind that.
it's not just me, but whenever most people, this is not everyone, obviously. When people think of racism and all the stuff that goes with it and anti-Semitism and white privilege, even if we don't think we are, I feel like half of us like sugarcoat it for ourselves. We don't look at the whole thing. We look at part of it and then try and find like, oh, it's not as bad, or oh, it's not this, or but still, like I feel like a lot of us don't look at reality. We try and make ourselves like a little false reality saying that everything is okay when it's not, and that's okay that it's not, but that's okay to accept that it is not.
Always be listening for other people's stories and what their perspectives are and how that fits in. It's almost like a puzzle where you see a story, but you in this case they're concealed stories, so you're putting that puzzle together. But even outside of that would be the questions, why don't we know this?
Or like a lot of people will make jokes that include stereotypes and about stereotypes of people, and then when people get mad, they say, oh, it's just a joke. But the stereotypes stick to people. And the more people that know about these stereotypes, the more when they first see someone, they'll think automatically, because it's in their brain, oh, no, that person could be a criminal. Oh, no, that person, I don't trust them. And I don't understand like how people can just I'm sorry.
Yeah.
There was another innovative program created by Nakshon that involved a few of our B'nai Mitzvah students and students from the Black community to engage in conversations about racism and anti-Semitism in America. We learned that we are in a time when some work is being done to right the wrongs. For example, I have never heard of Bruce's Beach. I would never have known about this if it had not been for the program Midpoint, where we spoke to the Black community and learned about this injustice. One of the leaders of Midpoint told us that she was an activist and she spoke out against what happened. She was in contact with the descendants who were receiving their land back, and it was a big deal. This program gave me a chance to see justice and repair of injustices in my own city in my own lifetime. This is the mitzvah of Tukan Olam and making the world a better place.